Ever wake up to a weather forecast that feels almost too accurate? One that, say, tells farmers in northeastern India to hold off on planting for 2 weeks, and then boom, the monsoon really does arrive late, saving millions of harvests from ruin. No shadowy chemtrails, no secret switches, just pure, unadulterated code doing its thing. That, my friends, is the real AI weather revolution unfolding right now. And if we're being honest, most of us haven't heard the full story, or even a fraction of the details. It's a tale far more compelling than any conspiracy theory, and it's happening faster than you might think. Right this very moment, in a data center nestled somewhere in London, a groundbreaking model named GraphCast is at hard work. This isn't your granddad's weather report. This AI can predict the next 10 days of global weather with startling accuracy, all in under a minute, running on what amounts to a single desktop computer. The truly mind-bending part? It didn't learn a single thing from complex physics equations. Instead, it devoured decades of past weather data, learning patterns and relationships much like you or I learn from experience. So, isn't AI secretly steering our planet? Absolutely not. But is it becoming an indispensable guide for the people who work tirelessly to keep you dry, fed, and safe? You bet it is. And it's getting faster and smarter every single day. Spend just 30 seconds scrolling through TikTok or any social media feed, and you'll inevitably stumble across clips designed to make your jaw drop. You'll see square cloud edges that look photoshopped, perfectly circular holes punched through storm systems, or jet trails that inexplicably just stop. The captions? They practically scream, AI test run, or government weather manipulation. Our brains are wired to find patterns, even where none exist. When we spot any kind of symmetry or anomaly in the beautiful, chaotic mess that is our atmosphere, we instinctively assume intent. It's a human thing. Throw in a few devastating floods that seem to come out of nowhere, or a sudden, unseasonable cold snap, and it just feels like someone or something is spinning the dial behind the scenes. But here's the often overlooked truth, and it's far less dramatic. For decades, our traditional weather forecasting models were amazing feats of engineering, but they were slow. They typically updated every 6 hours, requiring supercomputers the size of small warehouses to crunch their numbers. If a storm system popped up or intensified rapidly between those 6-hour cycles, we were essentially flying blind. We got caught off guard, and the sudden, unexpected impact felt jarring, even conspiratorial. That mismatch between our expectations and reality, that lag in information, looks like a conspiracy. But it's really just the limitations of older technology. It's the difference between watching a slow-motion replay of a football game and seeing it live. We're finally moving towards the latter. And as for those chemtrails you see, scientists have debunked those theories countless times. They're simply normal condensation trails, or contrails, formed when hot, humid jet exhaust mixes with the cold, low-pressure air at high altitudes. They look different depending on atmospheric conditions, but there's no secret chemical spraying happening. Traditional weather forecasting has always been an epic undertaking, treating the entire atmosphere like one colossal, multi-dimensional math exam. Imagine trying to precisely measure temperature, pressure, and humidity across every cubic meter of the globe, then plugging all that data into incredibly complex fluid dynamics equations. You'd have to crunch those numbers millions, even billions of times to simulate how everything evolves. It's accurate, yes, incredibly so, but it's also glacially slow and demands monstrous computational power. Think of it like trying to predict the exact path of every single billiard ball on a table after the break, knowing every angle, every friction coefficient, and every tiny air current. It's an almost impossible task for traditional computers. Google DeepMind, however, completely flipped the script. Instead of teaching an AI the physics equations, They essentially gave the AI the answers first. They fed it 40 years of reanalysis data, a treasure trove of past weather observations combined with traditional model outputs, essentially a detailed historical record of the atmosphere. Then they asked the AI to guess the next frame, much like the Netflix recommendation engine predicts what you'll want to watch next based on your viewing history. The result? GraphCast achieved an accuracy comparable to the gold standard European Center for Medium-Range Weather Forecasts, ECMWF model, but it did so using 1,000 times less computational power. That's like trading a supercomputer the size of a building for a laptop. This groundbreaking approach isn't unique to Google. Caltech's forecast model follows a similar idea, focusing on different aspects of atmospheric prediction. Meanwhile, Huawei's Pango Weather zooms out even further, offering impressive skill in predicting entire seasonal weather patterns. And let's not forget Aardvark Weather, developed by the University of Cambridge, which prides itself on generating forecasts purely from observational data, completely bypassing physics-based models altogether. None of these revolutionary models are sending commands back to the sky to manipulate a single cloud. They are only, and I repeat, only sending incredibly accurate, incredibly fast forecasts to your phone, your local weather station, or your National Meteorological Service. Their power lies in understanding, not in dictating. The tangible benefits of this AI revolution are already making a difference in the real world, often in life or death situations. Take the Indian monsoon in 2025, a critical event for an agricultural economy. The monsoon stalled, threatening to devastate crops. But Aardvark Weather, that Cambridge-based AI that never touches physics, spotted the delay a full 3 weeks out. This early warning was a game changer. Farmers, instead of planting prematurely and losing their precious seeds, were able to shift their delicate rice seedlings into shaded nurseries. They waited patiently, then transplanted them after the real sustained rains finally arrived. State officials estimate this single, accurate, early forecast saved an astonishing $400 million in lost seed and fertilizer. That's not just money. That's food security for millions. Later that same summer, Cyclone Biparjoy spun up in the Arabian Sea. Traditional forecast models were struggling with its erratic path, but GraphCast, the AI we talked about earlier, nailed its landfall location a full 48 hours earlier than conventional guidance. Think about what that means. 2 extra days. 2 extra days for rescue crews to evacuate vulnerable coastal communities, to move fishing boats upstream to safety, to secure infrastructure. This isn't about fancy drones or silver iodide rockets. Those are the stuff of fiction or highly localized, limited experiments. This is about earlier, clearer, and more reliable information empowering humans to make better, faster decisions that save lives and livelihoods. The impact is profound, from informing airline pilots about turbulence to helping energy companies optimize power grids based on wind and solar forecasts, to enabling construction crews to plan their work around impending storms. Now, for all their incredible power, AI models aren't magic. They're only as worldly as experienced as the storms they've been trained on. Imagine teaching a child about animals by only showing them pictures of cats and dogs. They'd be brilliant at identifying felines and canines, but put a platypus in front of them, and they'd probably stare in confusion. It's the same with AI weather models. Train them on a decade of average Atlantic hurricanes, and they'll perform beautifully. But then, when a 2020-style hyperactive season throws 6 simultaneous, unprecedented systems at them, they can stumble. Researchers call this out-of-distribution failure. Essentially, the AI encounters something it's never seen before, and its predictions become less reliable. It's like asking an AI trained on historical stock market data to predict a black swan event it couldn't possibly have learned from. The fix for this isn't simple. It's messy, iterative, and requires constant human oversight. It means continuously feeding the models fresh satellite pictures and new observational data, retraining them every few months, and crucially, blending their outputs with good old school physics-based models when the AI's map starts looking a little weird. Think of it like the autopilot on a plane. It's fantastic 99% of the time, handling routine flight with incredible precision and efficiency. But when unexpected turbulence hits or an engine light flashes, you still absolutely and unequivocally want a highly trained human pilot in the cockpit, ready to take control, interpret the situation, and make nuanced decisions. AI complements human expertise. It doesn't replace it, especially when the weather decides to throw a curveball. Researchers are actively working on making these AI models more robust, capable of learning from fewer examples, and better at identifying when they're operating outside their comfort zone. The future of AI in weather forecasting is moving at breakneck speed, promising even more granular and time